Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're gonna put together a PC that cost 40,000 rupees. At 40,000 rupees, this is a mid-range PC that can handle almost any game that you throw at it. I'll tell you more about the performance at the end of the video, but before that, let's discuss the parts that we're going to use for this build. So when selecting the processor for this build, I definitely wanted an i3. Originally, I had picked the i3 4150 4th generation, but after seeing how awesome the 6th generation Skylake processors are, I definitely wanted to use one. That's when I found the Intel i3 6100. But what I realized was this: although the processor only costed 1000 rupees more, the motherboard that we needed to use with that also costed much more, which would then increase our total budget to much higher than 40,000. And that's when I finally found the i3 6098P. Now this processor is a 6th gen Skylake processor. It performs a little bit lower than the i3 6100 and it's made specifically for the Asian markets. So it's a complete win-win because the price that you pay for it is actually lower than the i3 4th generation 4150. Now this processor is actually right there between the i3 4150 and the 6100. All three of these have 2 cores and 4 threads. The i3 6098P has a base clock of 3.6 GHz, where the 6100 has 3.7 and the 4150 has a 3.5. The 6098P has the HD510 integrated graphics, 6100 has the HD530 and the 4150 has the HD4400. Both the 6100 and the 6098P fit into the LGA1151 socket, whereas the 4150 fits into the previous generation LGA1150 socket. The reason that I've picked Intel for this build and not the AMD FX 6300 is because that processor is really old, which also makes the architecture really old and you cannot use DDR4 RAM with that. And also with this Intel processor, you can easily upgrade into the future to an i5 or an i7 without changing your motherboard. Speaking about the motherboard, let's discuss what motherboard we're using for this build. So for this build, I'm using the same motherboard that I used for my previous build. If you haven't seen that video, the link to that will be in the description and in the I button. So the motherboard that we're using is the gigabyte GAH110M S2. It has the LGA1151 socket, so it supports our motherboard. It has the LGA1151 socket, so it supports our processor. It has 4 SATA ports. It also has USB 3.0 on the back as well as the front. It only has dual channel RAM slots, so you can only add 2 memory sticks to it. And it does not come with HDMI, but since we're going to connect a graphic card anyways, it doesn't matter what kind of video output the motherboard will have. Coming to the RAM, it's the same story here. Again, we're using the Kingston HyperX Fury 8GB. Now I'm only using a single stick here because if you decide to upgrade in the future, you could just add another 8GB stick and you'd have 16GB of RAM. This RAM is DDR4 and it is clocked at 2133 MHz. Now for the star of our build, the graphics card. Here we're using the Asus GeForce GTX 950. Now this will handle any game that you throw at it at high if not ultra settings at 1080p easily. This is a 2GB DDR5 card with a base clock of 1026 MHz and it doesn't require any additional power source. So it will basically just pull power from the PCI Express slot itself. The price on the Asus card, however, keeps fluctuating up and down. So if you happen to find a price more expensive than the one that I've mentioned, you can actually check out the card by Gigabyte. This is also the GTX 950, but this is generally at a lower price as compared to the Asus one. For our storage, I've again picked the Western Digital Blue 1TB hard drive. I honestly don't even need to tell you anything about this hard drive. This hard drive basically just sells itself. It's that good. It's the next best thing after an SSD. It's a 3.5-inch drive that runs at 7200 RPM. For our power supply, I've picked the Corsair Rs.40. Like the name suggests, this is a 450 watt power supply with 85% efficiency. This is more than enough to power our whole system. The other advantage of this power supply is that it doesn't make a lot of noise. Now when you have a PC that performs this good, it should definitely look the part. That's why for our cabinet, I've picked the Circle Epic. It comes in 2 variants. Before I tell you about that, let me tell you about the cabinet itself. It comes with 2 LED fans, one on the front and one on the back. It has a glass side panel so you can see your parts and be mesmerized at how awesome they are. It has all the standard inputs on the front and also a USB 3.0 on the front, so that's a complete win-win. Now coming to the variants itself, it comes in black and red or white and blue. The black and red definitely looks completely awesome, but I think it's a bit cliche. If you ask me, I definitely recommend the white and blue version. It looks good, so good. I mean, you look at this one and it's like, it looks like a stormtrooper, it looks like the BMW i8, it just looks amazing. Now, I get it, maintaining a white one is hard, so you can obviously pick the black and red and be safe. But if you really want a cabinet that looks amazing, I'd recommend you go with the white and blue version. So if you've been keeping track of the total, you know we've not hit 40,000 and we do have some money to spare. So what should you do with this leftover money? I'll tell you about that. But before that, let's discuss how this PC actually performs. Starting with Crysis 3, you can play this game at high settings at 60 FPS at 1080p. If you're like me and you like Assassin's Creed, you can play Assassin's Creed Unity at high settings at 35 FPS. As for Witcher 3, with medium to high settings, you can easily hit around 45 to 50 FPS. Next on the list, RYSE Son of Rome. You can play this at normal settings at about 40 FPS. If you like first-person shooters, you definitely love Battlefield 4, and you can easily play this one at high settings at well over 60 FPS. And the last one on the list, GTA 5, because everybody loves GTA. So you can play this at medium to high settings at about 60 FPS. Now I got all these performance stats from Digital Foundry. The link to that video will be in the description and probably in the I button as well. Now, coming to that money that's been left over. So what should you do with that extra cash that you have? Should you go and buy the i3-6100 instead? I definitely recommend against that, because honestly you don't want those extra 2 points from a 6098 to a 6100. It's a waste of money. What you should do instead is get a 2TB hard drive. For that, again I recommend the Western Digital Blue 2TB hard drive. Yeah, the link to that will be in the description as well. It may go a little over 40,000, but it will be well worth it. Because honestly, 2 points in a processor name will not do you any good. But 1TB of extra storage will go a long way, believe me. Alright, so that was pretty much it for me in this video. I hope you liked what you saw. Don't forget to hit that like button or that dislike button. Comment and let me know what you'd like to see next and your thoughts about this build. Also, definitely do not forget to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.